Welcome to the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. We are going to do a emergency flash subscriber mailbag. Yes, I know the Sharks lost yesterday to the Vancouver Canucks. 3-game losing streak. Their playoff hopes are pretty much done. We will get to all that, do more of a season post-mortem next week. We're going to have Dan Boyle back on next week. But for now, though, let's get to your questions.
But before we do, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Bring Hockey Back. A lot of my beer league teams have been talking to Bring Hockey Back to get some team jerseys. Summer league's just commencing, so great time to put in your orders for team jerseys or, the upcoming winter season with Bring Hockey Back. So shout out and thank you to our sponsor. And if you need anything, go to bringhockeyback.com. And don't forget to use your promo code San Jose Hockey Now for 15% off. That includes bulk orders for like team jerseys, etc. And also some of their Team USA gear. That's pretty awesome.
All right. San Jose Hockey Now for how much? 15% off?
That's right.
All right. So, all right, we're going to have to rip through these. Okay. We are not going to do the Hobbit extended edition. Okay. We're going to try to rip through these like the Hobbit animated version. All right. So that's a deep cut for you guys. All right. So, all right, let's get started here. So new BS3. I'm pronouncing that right. Okay, basically, doesn't want to trade Eklund. What is the benefit of moving him over forwards that haven't made an impact yet, like Musty and Bystedt? Okay, so I think the obvious one, the benefit of moving him is that his value is probably higher than the two forwards that you mentioned, at least Musty and Bystedt. Musty and Bystedt are both good prospects, but I don't know if they're considered like great prospects in the sort of the NHL grand scheme of things. They're not like top 20 kind of prospects in the league like Chernyshov might be. So I think that's the biggest reason that like you can get some decent value back.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I would also just say too, like Eklund's been, getting a diminished role throughout this season, moved down from the power play, moved from first line to second line to third line at times. And so I think also, with the rise of Chernyshov, obviously Macklin and Will Smith and these other wingers and then your veteran wingers, his role's changed in this team as well. So I think, and if also, as we all know, we need D. So I think priorities too.
Yeah, I think they probably at this point value like Chernyshov and Misa and Celebrini and Smith over him in terms of the forward core, probably. Doesn't mean that he will be traded or won't be. And above Musty and Bystedt, like we got to just remember how much more he was a highly, regarded pick, and then he's a very good NHL player too. So it's not like he's like has really a question mark. He's gonna be a good player for a long time. It's just whether or not he's the guy that management sees as a long-term piece if they can get D, which they need badly, which we're going to talk about on this episode, I'm sure.
Many times, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I would close it out too with just Musty and Bystedt are, they have a lot of question marks with them too. Yeah. And that's a big part of it. So Eklund's just proven a lot more. Okay, so these next two questions are somewhat related, so I put them together.
Sure.
So Flying Frenchman, do you think management is happy with Warsofsky's performance over the last 2 years? And doesn't like some of the personnel changes. I know a lot of fans didn't like the Landria in and all kinds of things that Warsofsky did there. And the quote-unquote favoring of veterans, which actually I want to speak to that in a second. And Ohheytravis asked a similar question. There's clearly a bunch of vitriol. How do you say that?
Vitriol.
Vitriol. How do I not? I'm a literature major. Vitriol toward Warsofsky. So I try to not learn words that might be related to me. So anyway, okay. So is Warsofsky in the hot? Is it time for him to be in a hot seat?
I think management's happy with him. That would be my guess is that they like him.
I agree.
And that he. I don't think he's on the hot seat. I think it's kind of like they've seen a growth this year, and I'm sure they want to see what a playoff caliber team with Warzo looks like before they make any decisions going forward. So.
What Mike Grier thinks is a playoff caliber team.
Yeah, or what they think is, or if they do make the playoffs. You know, you never know what you got till you make the playoffs. And what if Warzo's like a genius in the playoffs? We just don't even know.
Yeah, I'll just add to that too. I think, I mean, you look at this team. I think they in so many ways overachieved. I think you brought in a young coach, Grurzy did, with the understanding that he's going to grow with this team and learn with this team. And I know that Shangers, you had said last season he should have gone to the 1-3-1, quicker. And I think that you bring up some good points, but he's also, a coach that's learning with the league, learning the NHL travel. And sometimes you don't think about a coach in development, but I think he definitely is. And then you also just look at the development of your key players, and he's done a great job with that, from Macklin to Will to Chernyshov to Misa. And, so I think he's doing a great job, and I think they're happy with him with the metrics that they're looking for success. I think Sharks did very well with the squad they had this season. So I think this team's happy with him.
Yeah, and to add to a few things, I do wonder, these last three things have been a little disturbing how they've lost, and so that's something to look at, but I don't think that that's it's the story of the season, these last three games. It's not how they're going to judge it. To touch on a couple of the points though that you guys mentioned. First, the favoring of veterans. I think any coach does that. Coach is going to give a veteran more rope, and it's not just because a coach likes older players or it's anti younger players. It's because a veteran player has done it before. So you give a veteran player more rope because there's actually a track record of him bouncing back and doing good things for you. In the NHL level. And so that's why a guy like Orlov, Leddy down the line is going to get more of a chance, because there's significant amount of tape showing Orlov and Leddy doing good things for you, or doing good things for his team at the NHL level, unlike a Mukhamadullin. So I find that, I don't know, people seem to talk about that a lot, and I think any coach is like that, though. I'm not sure if there's any coach that doesn't think that way. Finally, in terms of that hot seat thing, I think that maybe it's a 1 year thing. As we've seen with coaches in the league, they don't last. I think Warsofsky is already like the 16th most tenured coach in the league. So if you really do not like Ryan Warsofsky, I think he's got 1 year here to really, take this team to another level, which is probably the playoffs. So, okay. Tim Graveline has two questions here, and one for Zubair, so that's exciting. So this in a second. But first, though, Tim Graveline, the Sharks win either the draft lottery picks. Okay, that means move up. Should they take either of the Oilers isn't going to be draft lottery picks. So okay, so if their pick goes into the lottery, anyway, so should they take best player available like McKenna or Stenberg, or even a defenseman there, or should they trade back to get one of the defenders and gain assets? So that's the basic question. So
Very good question. King, this is you.
I'll start, I guess, with that one. Unless you get like an absolute cannot refuse this thing to get down to 3, then I would just keep the pick and take McKenna or Stenberg. I like Reed. I like Reed. I like Verhoff. But I think McKenna and Stenberg have they seem to have a little bit more certainty and a little higher upside that I think above the D.
Really?
So I would take them above the D. So, but that's just my opinion. Maybe at 2, if you're trying to decide between Stenberg and Reed, I could see maybe Reed. But at 1, I would say McKenna. I think that you're still in this process of what you need in terms of the team, and the worst thing you can do is miss out on a potential game changer, and then you still have to have a project D for a long time. Not that Reed, Verhoff are not going to be great players, and they might even be better than McKenna, but unless you get, I mean, I think it would be smart if you could get down to 3. I think Chris Peters has said repeatedly that 3 is where he would want to be in this draft because you don't have to make the choice between McKenna and Stenberg. And then you get to just land one of the D that you like. So if you got like a really good trade into 3, I think that's a legitimate idea. But if you're at 1 and you can't really get too much to move down to 3, I would take McKenna.
Okay.
That's just me. It is hard to say though, because one of those rare times when like BPA versus positional need might just outweigh it because of how badly the Sharks do need a right D or any D with some offensive flair.
I really like this question too, and I like your answer, Keegan, because it's there's 2 things that I think about when you hear this question. The first thing is, last year Mike Grier said clearly when picking Misa, like, we're not in a position to pick by position yet. You just take the best player on the board. And they've talked about, like Morehouse talked about, like that's kind of how they draft. I guess the question is like, underneath the question is, do you think the Sharks are in a place to now pick for position? And then the other thing is, like, if you take a McKenna or Stenberg, and to your point, they're the most maybe secure upside picks, then you can always trade that asset later.
Yeah. Or trade a different one that is on your team that McKenna or Stenberg could fit into.
That's the Askarov Ravensburgian idea, right? So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay.
That would be my answer.
So Tim has a next question specifically for Zubair. What's a song or maybe album that best represents this Sharks season? And if you can think of it, what would you hope would represent the Sharks next year? So
that's such a fun question.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm a big Radiohead fan, so I would say this season is Pablo Honey, their first album, which frankly I've never even fully heard, but obviously everyone knows for having Creep.
Zubair fell asleep at the end of yesterday's game. I'm going to reveal that. No, I'm just joking.
But no, it's going to be it's Creep. It's like, you have these this one-hit wonders on the season. And it's a good banger, like the Montreal game.
Are you calling Macklin a creep?
I just think, like, what the hell am I doing here in a playoff spot? You know what I mean? Right? Okay. Like, so, like, what the hell are we doing here? I don't belong here, but they're here. And it's a hell of a song. And there was moments in the season that were fucking awesome. And everyone can rock out to Creep. We had great comebacks. You saw the growth of Macklin into an elite player. And then, on that progression next season, I want to see some Paranoid Android, OK Computer, just that next evolution of your musical growth, Karma Police. And, it's still not Kid A, like the ultimate, my favorite version of the evolution of the art in the band that's like competing for, a Stanley Cup. But, they're now, getting Grammys and getting nominations and they're winning stuff. So I think
Computer competes for a Stanley Cup. What are you talking about?
Not my. I think it's great in so many ways. But there's a lot of great music that year that I'm as big as a radio fan I am. I think there's a lot of other stuff, but like Kid A is like in its own realm of success.
Oh man, I love OK Computer, man. Call me a boomer, but I love OK Computer.
There's always a Florida
Hey man, half the teams in the league
make
it in the playoffs.
You're calling OK Computer a 8th seed album? Okay.
No, it's not an 8th seed. It's not an 8th seed album.
Definitely in the division.
Make the playoffs.
Yeah. It's definitely winning the Pacific.
You just call it OK. You call OK Computer the Toronto Maple Leafs. What the fuck?
Toronto's not in playoffs.
They lose the first round.
Or not, but just All right, let's move on from this. Right, this is gonna take it out. It's gonna be me, my head exploding. I love OK Computer so much. So okay,
it's such
Zeke,
a great album.
It is a great album.
It's fantastic.
Which CUDA forwards have a legit shot at playing a role in the NHL, basically? Anyone want to go first on this? I mean, playing what kind of role?
Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, Zeke,
do you want us
really
all pick one person?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, my pick would be Halton. I think of everyone on the squad. I think Haltonen's developing a really good B game this season. I see him as a bottom 6. But also on the power play. I think that shot is just such a great asset. And then he's really developing a physical game. So I think he'll eventually make the Sharks. He's my pick of the current AHL squad.
Wow. That's not
that's a bold one. Of like, he's your favorite of everybody on the CUDA?
No, again, my definition is mostly like play 400 games in the show, 300 to 400 games.
I know that's your pick of all the.
That's who I think will, because I think in a bottom six position, I think a top six position is pretty hard to crack right now. And I think and for the Sharks, I should say, not like with another.
Well, it could be for another team though. Yeah. Well, that's okay. Yeah, the question is which one is just will play a role in the NHL, I guess. Is all.
Oh, okay.
I think he needs on the Sharks though. But...
Well, anyway, no, that's fine. No, I mean Holtonen is. Yeah, I mean he's had a good year this year. I will go ahead and take. I'll just go with Bystedt, and I think Bystedt. He's going to top out at 3-4C. He's had a nice season this year. He has kind of taken that 1C role with the Barracuda, and I wouldn't say he's run with it. You know, he's not going to win the AHL MVP like Podorowski did, but I think he's had a growth year this year, and I think he's had a better year overall than say like a Quentin Musty, who has actually been surging recently. But so I think there's a place for Bystedt. Actually, there's an easy place for Bystedt in NHL. Don't know if it's going to be with the Sharks though, because he's going to take a center job from Macklin Celebrini or Michael Misa or Alex Wenberg or Zach Ostapchuk. And I don't really see him taking necessarily, the fit. You know, he's not going to take Ostapchuk's job. His style game's different. He might be able to push Wenberg to the wing. That's what I say, actually, in general about the Sharks center competition. Your number one job, if you're Michael Misa, your number one job is to take Alex Wenberg's job. If you're Filip Bystedt, your number one job is to push Alex Wenberg to the wing.
Yeah.
And if you're Zach Ostapchuk, your number one job is to, once Misa pushes Wenberg down, to take Wenberg's job. So poor Alex Wenberg. But go ahead, Keegan.
Yeah. I like the Holtonen pick just because I think you're right. You guys have the most NHL attribute with a shot and a role on a power play. Sometimes there are guys that don't really find a place even with that shot. That's my only reservation on him and always has been. But it is possible, and he's got time to grow. The shot's not going anywhere. So I would say, I guess for Musty, that would be mine. Because
who else is left? Yeah.
Who else is left? Tim Lund, probably. He's going to be the one who.
Yeah. Actually, I forgot. He actually.
He might be the most.
Might have the best career of all these guys. To be honest,
yeah.
He's the most
safer than Musty.
Yeah, I think Musty has the highest skill level, and I think that's the one that I'll bank on for now. And you're right, he's surging a bit. I read an interview of his recently, or just a couple questions that somebody had of him, and I liked his attitude a lot, where he was like, "Hey, there were things in juniors that I wasn't learning. I'm learning a lot now."
Yeah, that was at San Jose Hockey Now.
Yeah, I wish I got called up. But
that was at San Jose Hockey Now. That was from Josh Fragellin. Thank you for the non-plug Keegan.
I read so much shit, man. We all do.
Now it's shit.
No, I mean shit is in a good way. Like, I read so much shark-related stuff that I can't keep track of who writes what. You know, sometimes it's Shangs.
What's fueling Musty's goal-scoring binge?
There you
How's
go.
Holtonen becoming well-rounded? That is the article.
What a great article.
Josh Fragellin on San Jose Hockey Now last week.
He had such a good attitude, at least in print. I don't know what the actual attitude was or whatever, but it was just like I didn't, haven't made it yet, but like I'm working on stuff that I didn't at the OHL level. So I think there's still great hope for Musty to round into form at some point and really become a impact middle sixer in the NHL. So we'll see if that's with the Sharks, because they're filling themselves up on the wings and like you said, on the fourth line too. So we'll see. These guys, they're developing, but they're doing well to also showcase themselves if they do get traded or moved.
As the asker of that question to Quentin Musty, I can answer your question, Keegan. I just thought it was interesting, because rarely will a player admit that he just sort of was down because of not getting called up. Everyone thinks that, right? But it's rare for a player to admit it. So I thought that was interesting. He didn't say it in any sort of mad at the Sharks kind of way or whatever. Just a little more matter of fact.
No vitriol.
Yeah, but yeah, actually, if I were to go back, I actually might say Lund actually, because I think Lund. I forgot about Lund because obviously he's done for the season, but
Yeah.
I think that I think he's very well liked in an organization, and just his package of skills just sort of translates, to the NHL, and he's learning to play a more kind of safe game. But okay, Rphillips asks, is RD development more of an issue than attracting? Well, okay, just in general, is the Sharks' D development an issue? I know a lot of fans have brought that up. I don't know about that, but let's start with you guys. Do you think there's any issue developing defensemen in the organization?
I think it's kind of a little bit of a loaded question. I think they haven't had a lot of high draft picks on D work out since like the early 2000s, but that's not there's guys like Ryan Merkley and Mirko Mueller that just never really panned out. So there is something there. I think I remember doing an article before to say we drafted Sam Dickinson that like our most successful like first round pick D was back in like 1997 with like Scott Hannon and Brad Stewart, and like it's been a long time. Like we had Mark Edward Vlasic, but he was a second round pick, so they hadn't developed a first round pick D in a long time. But it just means that like I don't think they were getting really the quality there. And then we did develop guys like Middleton and Braun, and I don't think there's an issue. And Mario Ferraro, yeah, absolutely. I just didn't think there wasn't a lot of. There's not the juice is worth the squeeze, but there's just not a lot of fruit on the loom. I'm trying to figure out idioms. I don't know. Is that the word? Fruit on the loom?
There was not a lot of fruit on the loom there, basically. I feel like this is a little bit of the moving of the goalposts, because I remember 2-3 years ago, people would be like, oh, the Sharks can't develop anybody. And now we have Colin Graf clearly developed by the Sharks, Zach Ostapchuk clearly developed by the Sharks. And now let's move the goalposts and see, oh, there's no defenseman. Okay, they can't develop defensemen.
Fruit on the vine, maybe? I'm trying to think of what.
Let's stick with moving the goalposts there, because I think everyone gets that one. And so I think the Sharks are. I don't see any particular problem with their development on defense. Then we're talking about nuts and bolts guys like Lucas Pisa or Louis Massa of the Barracuda, who developed Colin Graf as a PKer, but he also runs the defense there. Yeah, okay, Caglioni didn't take that jump up this year, but Caglioni, it's for obvious reasons, is kind of has limits sort of to his ceiling, right? His size and his sort of his first step and all kinds of stuff, right? So anyway, so I wouldn't go so far as say there's a problem organizationally with developing defensemen. So not that I've seen. Bob Horenstein asked, with Polkamp in the mix as a starter next year, I don't really know if he's in a mix, but but what does the D look like? So,
oh boy, first of many D questions, right?
Yeah. So, okay, basically, who stays, who goes? I mean, I will say, okay, so I kind of shot down Polkamp here. We don't know what he's going to be, but I wouldn't just assume that he's right in there. So that's all I'll say. So anyway, we can just go to this quickly, I guess, right? Shakir's an RFA. I think someone will ask this later. I think he'll be back. Orlov will be back. I think they'll bring Desharnais back, even though the PK has kind of sprung a leak here. Dickinson. So that's 3. And then you have on the side, you have Polkamp, Caglioni, Allen kind of still there. Hopefully they all one guy takes a leap there. So there's a lot of space there. I don't know if anyone else besides Desharnais that you'll bring back for sure.
So you don't think they're bringing back Ferraro?
I'm not sure if that gap. Well, I don't know. I got to think about that, because like I know that I reported a couple months ago, and I believe this was true, that the Sharks were thinking more short-term with him, and Ferraro is 27. He's going to be UFA for the first time. So, of course, Ferraro will want a long-term contract, longer term, not talking like maybe like 40 years or something like that. The D market, though, is so scarce and so dry that I wonder if the Sharks just kind of suck it up for a guy that like is still a good player and can help them, even if you want him maybe in a more bottom pairing kind of role, over the years. You hope that Dickinson improves, you acquire players, you push Ferraro down the lineup. And another one I think is maybe Leddy as your number 7 guy, even though Leddy's kind of had a rough last couple of games here, but he showed enough earlier, earlier this month or last month a little bit, that like as a number 7 guy, I don't think you mind that. But yeah, that might be it. I don't see Klingberg coming back myself.
So you see
anyway.
everyone re-signing except for Klingberg.
Well,
That's
Fro,
what
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
Fro's
about Fro.
kind
But
of
Fro's
far.
looking to be a big investment. Letty's like a 1-year contract, right? So he comes back, it's a 1-year deal.
Well, yeah, I think they're
Mukhamadullin just
mostly
RFA,
1
so.
year. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
just-
if of all the
yeah.
guys, I don't see anyone taking more except for Ferraro. Maybe if he resigns, maybe a 2-year, but I don't see Desharnais or even Shakir.
No, Desharnais going to get multiple years. No. I don't think that's fair to. Yeah. No, that's unfair to Vinny. Like he got 2 years from Vancouver a couple years ago after he'll get like 2 years, I think, maybe 2, 3.
They like him, so that's a fair point.
I think so.
And they played him with Dickinson a lot, so maybe they want to see if they need to.
They put him up on the top pairing in the season.
Yeah, craziness. I honestly think that they move off of Mukhamadullin. Like I think that's my opinion is that they're going to try and package him with something for a different D.
Maybe. Yeah, his value's so low though, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, low plus obviously he's not going to be like the only thing. It's not like we're going to get a great player with just Mukhamadullin.
Right.
But I think they. Ferraro's tough, like you said. He probably wants something longer, and he's been with this team so long. It's hard to imagine what a D looks like without Ferraro on it. But maybe they want to see what a D looks like without Ferraro on it.
Yeah, I mean they've been trying to trade him for years, right? As we've well documented.
But it would be unfortunate if it's like, we're finally winning. And now goodbye Ferraro.
Yeah, and I think we would all agree, or at least us 3 would agree, that with a little lighter load this year, that he had a pretty good year. One of his better years of the recent ones. Like maybe not a true blue top for a year, but like still, so maybe they could come to some middle ground where like maybe he'll accept the 3-year contract, not wait out the 4 just because he gets to stay in San Jose, and obviously he just had a baby and all that kind of stuff, family stuff, right? So maybe, but we'll see on that one. So Dave here, this isn't quite a question, but Dave says that the Avalanche is sort of, in his mind, a blueprint to get from worst to first. And, for example, they traded distraction like Matt Duchene. They acquired players like Lehkonen, Manson, Cogliano, Sturm. I guess talking about the 2022 Stanley Cup team. Anyway, though, he says that Mike Grier has accomplished a lot of these things as well early on. Shouldn't we let this play out? And I guess there's nothing to answer here. I think we agree here that Mike at least deserves, at least next year. If next year's a disaster, then Mike could be in trouble as well, like Ryan Warsofsky. But there's no reason to not give Mike this off season. So
yeah, I don't really understand the question, unfortunately.
There's no question there. There's no question there.
Yeah,
we agree. We let this play out. So yeah,
you're saying let's let this play out, but also he did make key acquisitions. So yeah, Grier's got to let it play out through the draft, but also make key acquisitions.
We want to give Mike a chance to build a winning team around his franchise center. So okay. Dylan Smallwood has a couple of questions here, but I think I liked a lot of Dylan's questions, so gave him a couple more here. So, all right, first, does Alex Tuch fit the Sharks at like 8-year contract, Kyle Connor money? And I'll just answer that quickly. He does fit obviously, but not at 8 years. I don't think you take that on for 8 years. He's not Mikko Rantanen. He's not like a star guy that you want to give that many years to, in my opinion. And he's a little older at this point too. So anyone have any more opinions about Alex Tuch?
I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed. I think we have money to spend elsewhere.
Yep.
And he's gonna get a bag. The bag.
Yeah, he's 29. Yeah.
Or he's gonna just re-sign in Buffalo for a shit ton of money. But I think he's better fit for a contender that wants to really maximize the first 3 years of that, 4 years or whatever, where he's playing at a first line level. Not that the Sharks are hopefully not going to be that, but I think we have bigger fish to fry than looking for Alex Tuch. But
I think you'll love it if Chernyshov develops like a Tuch and produces like him. You know, Tuch has,
or like a Mark Stone or whatever,
or a Mark Stone. Yeah, Alex Tuch has scored 30 goals in 3 of the last 4 seasons. You know, he's a fast power forward type, right? So yeah, I think you love to see that out of Chernyshov. Next question from Dylan is basically if you could pick a type of player for the Sharks. You know, he's not asking about a specific kind of like who needs to step up from the CUDA, but just a type of player, I guess any position. And so Dylan suggests that they need like a Tkachuk light kind of player. So someone that drags them into the fight that plays in the top 9. So any of you guys have a type that you like on the Sharks? I think on forward or defense, and maybe name the comp.
I'd say one of the key pieces that you need, obviousand, is defensemen that can get pucks through to the net.
Okay.
And to do that, you need defensemen that can walk the blue line. I think that's what we're missing a lot, and you're seeing a lot of shots straight into shin guards because we have defensemen flat-footed on the blue line, and those lanes are closed in the NHL. And then those reads on the blue line cause, turnovers and rushes the other way and cost the Sharks a lot. I think that's like the number one thing I would address. Now that's a hard thing to acquire. A lot of the best in the world are the number 1 defensemen that do that.
Oh, this is fantasy line. So yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So, but I think that's why, going back to the question with what this blue line looks like next year, I don't see a lot of the people coming back, the D that you guys had mentioned. And I think because the next step in the Sharks game is you need puck movers as well. And you also, and it doesn't need to be like a top tier guy, but every guy needs to be able to at least get pucks in. And even if you're changing the angle on your shot, like Burnsy used to, he was a little flat footed on the blue line at times, but he'd change the angle and always find a way to get it in net. And we just need defensemen that could do that. I think that's the most important sort of attribute or profile of a player that we need right now.
Yeah, I would just argue with that I don't know if you necessarily want all those defensemen back that I mentioned, but just that the market is so limited that you might have to take 1 or 2 of those guys back because it's the best that are out there. So that's what I mean. It's not anyone's ideal. The overall answer to the question, I do agree with you largely on the type. That's what I was going to say, defenseman too. I would add to that besides somebody that can get shots on goal, also too just the breakout, somebody that can break out the puck, break it out by himself. That's so
that's why I said puck
critical.
Mover. Yeah.
So, but I'm emphasizing a different part of it, of that. And so, so if I were to take a type, it'd be obvious: Quinn Hughes, Makar, that kind of type. Keegan, do you have anyone different than Cale Makar as your dream type? Lane Hudson, okay.
Yeah, Lane Hudson, somebody that can get you, that can that can take the puck by themselves and get it into the zone.
Transition out, get the puck
not leave it
goal.
all to Celebrini or whoever to break it in. And then it would be great if we also had that plus a like big shooter from the point too. That would be awesome. Or if they're the same.
You're asking for 2 guys now, so.
Yeah, I'm asking for 2 days. And then
you're just asking for Eric Polkamp.
Eric Polkamp. Beauty. And then forward perspective, I don't know. I want a little bit of I watched the Caps yesterday, and Ilya Protas and the Protas huge line with Protai and Tom Wilson, who weighs like 750 pounds.
Yeah.
And just huge winger that huge center that is like a bruiser but can like make plays and tons of skill with his hands. We are kind of missing that. Like we have Wenberg, but he's not really a bruiser.
Sure.
And Celebrini, obviously, like one of the best players in the world. So that would be a cool acquisition, but it's not like it's absolutely needed. It would have to be puck moving defenseman is absolutely needed for the team.
Let me ask you guys quick because we didn't give. I don't know if we have a Polkamp question later. Do you guys think that Polkamp can really challenge for a job next year? Because maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. So just yes or no.
You guys know me. I've been on Polkamp from day one at Bemidji.
Yes.
I think yes. Like I saw it. When he was in Bemidji, I was like, this guy's playing. And I know last year, the organization talked to him to send him back to DU because they liked the program. They liked his development. and he'll be 22. I
I just mean
believe.
specifically next year, though. Yeah, so like a serious challenger for a top 6 job. Okay, all right.
So
Keegan,
I'm setting up the answer to that.
Okay.
Yes, I think he will be absolutely competing for a job on the Sharks, and I mean there's more than enough room on it. Do I think he can develop in the AHL? I'd have to watch a little bit more tape of him. But yeah, I think he can compete on this roster in the NHL next year. I think he could be more serviceable in terms of reducing egregious mistakes than Dickinson was this season. So if they are willing to give him that long of a leash, I think Polkamp defensively could actually be a little more sound.
Well, yeah, he's 3 years older. Yeah, so he should be more sound, right? So, Keegan, do you yes or no?
Unless they somehow acquire 3 right-handed D that can shoot the puck, then yes, he absolutely has a shot. Because there's just nobody there.
I'm not giving Polkamp enough credit then.
Well,
Okay, so
it's a weak market, and then also he
Yeah.
has the things that the Sharks are missing. So I think he's definitely got a shot. And I watched him during the championship game. He was hurt apparently. That's what David Carl said after the game. So it wasn't like he was super impactful. He was doing okay, but he couldn't get his shot off really, and couldn't get it at the spots that he needed to really make an impact offensively. But he's still, he's a great battler. He's physical. He does overcommit with his body a lot, which will be a problem at the NHL level because you can't just like bully Ilya Protas off the puck. But but I think he's got all the chance in the world. Unless Grier goes out and has a magical offseason where he acquires like so many dudes, which he might. I won't say he won't, but that would be my answer is yes. He could.
One more question from Dylan Smallwood. And sorry, guys, I'm just ripping through these. So
yeah, we got to go quick.
Yeah. So do you see Misa or Dickinson starting in the AHL next year?
No.
And, well, I would say actually possibly yes, just because on better teams, Misa is not your 3C, and Dickinson is really not in your top 6. And because the Sharks are shallower up front and on defense, and also they just had to have him here or in the OHL, they were kind of forced between here and the OHL. Then they were up here, and they both had good seasons for what they were. But they need to take big steps, I think, is my point. I'm not saying I think they'll be in AHL. I don't think they will be, but can I see it if they don't take big steps this offseason? And like we talk about, Mike Grier makes acquisitions. Yeah.
To answer that, I don't see it with Misa. I think Misa's development the last 20 games has been really good. I see him better in the boards, better down low, more on the defensive side of the puck. And Misa has the track record. I think Misa is going to start with the Sharks next season. I actually think for Dickinson, on the contrary, I think it would be beneficial to his development to send him back to the AHL next year. I think the NHL he does look overwhelmed at times, and specifically what I find concerning is the Dickinson in the NHL that we've seen, and is his stride is way tighter than it was in the OHL, and he's a better skater than he's been skating this year. And I think a lot of that, my observation to that is some of it's because, he's playing conserved, he's playing tight, and that's ultimately what you don't want him to develop to be. You want to establish some confidence in him so he can really open up his stride and let loose and be the player that we want him to be. And I think the AHL would serve him really well for his development. I don't think he'll be there the whole season, but I think starting off in the AHL next year would be very good for Dickinson's development, especially going backwards. What you want to do is have him develop more confidence, and I think he did a lot better on the defensive side of the puck this season. You've seen that development from him. I think just keep reiterating those points, but also start to what I don't want is basically what I'm trying to say is I don't want his offensive upside to atrophy. Which you're starting to see, like 1 goal all season, and he's been a little snake bitten as well. He's had great chances, but I want that confidence to come back and his offensive upside to come back, and I think that would happen in the AHL, especially because now he's been playing in NHL speed for a season. So I think for his development, it would be the right path.
Could be. Okay.
Yeah, interesting, Benny. I would say I think he could get spot games, but I honestly, again, unless Mike Grier acquires a ton of dudes, I think he's got a spot. Just there's been growth, and like you said, defensively he's been better, and you're right, he's a little bit tame offensively, but I don't know. I worry. I hesitate about that whole like going back down after you played the NHL thing. We saw that with Kevin Korchinski in Chicago, and then he never really regained that like offensive flair that he even had in juniors either. So it was kind of like he took a step back after a full year in the NHL because they had to play him there. And I don't know. I think Dickinson can hold his own defensively enough to keep him up in even if you're not getting offensively what you need from him just yet. But we'll see. It's honestly up and down. Not sure.
The offense part too, like I don't worry about that sort of atrophying. If it's there, it's going to take over.
It might.
And I'll just leave it at that. But it's still though, it's an interesting thought though, between Dickinson versus Misa and their need for that. Stephanie K asked, comparing basically, she just says, if Celebrini and the Sharks don't take the next level in the next couple of years, is it because the Sharks didn't get a lot of value out of the Doug Wilson Jr. era? So that's basically, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the teams she's comparing us to also started the rebuilds earlier.
Sure, yeah.
Like all of them, so I don't know.
No, but that's why I cut out that question. The point is like how much you look back at Doug Wilson era, junior era. So honest, like in defense of Doug Jr., like the first few years there, the Sharks did not have a lot of picks, right? 2017 to 19, they were stripped of picks, especially 2018-19. Look at it. They had like 5 picks each year, 6 picks. They did blow that Ryan Merkley pick. It was a weak draft too, though. So I understand why they swung for Merkley there. I don't hindsight and be like, oh, you should have drafted Keandre Miller. Look, they made a bad pick there. It happens to every team. 2017, they did a great job there, right? And so this might be a little different if they hadn't traded Josh Norris and he was still on the Sharks because he's a very good player. 2020, though, I think 2021, those are the ones that really kill the Sharks because they had a lot of picks in those years. Granted, they didn't have necessarily the highest of picks. 2020 should have been the Stützle year. But anyway, though, that like, yeah, I mean, look, they didn't hit on those picks. And so there's really not much more that we can say about that. And then obviously we have 2022, which we're still kind of seeing the remainders of it to see if there's Bystedt or Lund. I think there's still hope for both those guys, right, to turn out, and that's Doug Jr.'s last draft. I will say about the 2020-21 drafts too. I know this is maybe like coming to too much defense, but they were also weird draft years of COVID and whatnot too.
Yeah, we got Eklund out of it.
Yeah, and you come out with Eklund, which is not bad, but
it's not amazing either way.
Yeah, I think the 2021 though might be the one that hurts them because that's the one that I think people really like. Oh, the Sharks are going all small forward. They're changing up how they're drafting. This is like some kind of philosophical change that's going to lead to, you hope, better results. And obviously, all those guys, have flopped. I don't know if there's really any hope really for any of those guys.
Would be that I think we're rapidly approaching the like when in a normal presidential year, the president will blame the prior administration for like everything for like at least 18 months, like it's like, well, this is the economy that I inherited. Again, this is a normal like things. We could just say whatever we want now, so it's a little different, but like that's the way that we are today. But anyway, it's what it used to be. I think we were kind of approaching that time frame where like Grier's been here for almost 4 years, right? 2022 to 2026. And he's built a tremendous team already. So I honestly, like those rebuilds that you mentioned, maybe they have some better depth prospect pieces, but even then, the Sharks have good depth prospect pieces right now.
Let me just mention, just because I didn't say it in the initial question, Stephanie cited Montreal. No, it's my fault, because I was just trying to get to the core of the question. But she cited rebuilds in Montreal, Utah, Ottawa, Anaheim, and Chicago, all different circumstances. So that's why I didn't want to compare it. But just basically, were the Sharks hurt by Doug Jr.'s drafting, especially from 2018 to 2022. Yeah, I mean, look, there's one player from there, right? William Eklund. So, I
think we like we said, we're approaching when this is Grier's team, Grier's drafting and development, rather than problems of the Doug Wilson era. Like, who's left from that era? Nobody, right? Like,
Right.
Couture's gone. Ferraro was probably the last one, and he might not be back. So
Right. Okay, Downriver asks, actually, we sort of answered this about pole camp. Do you see pole? Well, yeah, that's a different question slightly.
It is,
okay,
yeah.
so what skills do Mukhamadullin, Dickinson, Cagnoni need to develop as players to be regulars at the AHL level? And do you see pole camp as AHL ready for a contending team? So
I could rapid fire a couple of bullet points on these guys.
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think Mukhamadullin, I think obviously defensively he tends to drift out of position frequently. And I that's the number one thing I see from him is sort of just hockey IQ in the defensive zone. I think that's what he'll need to develop is, playing the position. He overcommits to guys with the pucks and then will drift out of position frequently, and get caught puck chasing. I think he'll also have to, develop a little bit more snarl. I think that'll be important. I think that's something they can use from him. With his size, given that, I mean, he's a great skater. The last thing is, again, I think the game Shangers, you and I were at, like, one of them resulted in a rush the other way. We've seen Mukhamadullin be able to, particularly, his backward C cups on the blue line are disgusting. Like, they're so nice. He just doesn't use them. And often, and he'll be caught flat-footed. And for a skater that good, you're going to need him to move. So that'd be for Mukhamadullin what I would say. For Dickinson, I think it's still hockey IQ. I think he's in the defensive zone. He'll freeze at times. I want to see more movement from him. Last night was one of the games where I actually really liked his movement. I thought you could see his stride open up. You can see him moving. I think there was something about him that's probably like, we got nothing to lose now. Let me play. and I actually liked his game last night. So I want to see some more, Dickinson, obviously defensively, but also we see it less. So you see that development already happening. So I'm confident he's going to get there. But just hockey IQ in the defensive zone. Cagnoni, I mean, Shangers, you already mentioned it. First stride needs to get stronger. He needs to be better with his stick. Defending with his stick is going to be key with his size. I mean, the hockey IQ's there, breakout pass is there, offensive upside is there. So yeah, that would be it for those three. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, good notes. I think also for Cagnoni, just playing with the leverage of his small frame. Some guys that are small can get underneath guys in a way that defensively that other bigger defenders may not be able to. And I think that that's something that leads to a lot of success for small D is really leveraging their tiny frame and getting pucks and getting them moved quickly. He just doesn't have a lot of physicality all the time. And that's what I would want to see more from him, and then continue with your offensive skills that brought you there. Ride the horse that brought you in. I'm trying to think of more idioms. But dance with the one that you brought there or something. That's it. You guys keep answering. I'm going to grab my phone charger or my computer charger.
I'll add one more with Dickinson too. He needs significant improvement on his board play. One of the things the defenders got to do is break through the arms. His positions on the boards against, forwards in the defensive zone. I don't like a lot of those reads. I think he puts himself in vulnerable positions in the defensive zone, specifically when he gets caught on the boards. He needs to get off the wall quicker, and his board play needs some improvement. So I'll add that to the development mix as well. Shangers, what do you see?
I mean, I just think generally with Mukhamadullin and Dickinson, it's touches on things you said, but just their defensive pace needs to be much faster.
Yes.
I think generally that covers a lot.
Yeah.
If that gets faster, then they'll be stronger on the boards, or whatever problem you have with them will look better if they're thinking faster. With Cagnoni, generally just has to be nastier, has to be stronger. And so, I generally agree with everything you guys have said. And in terms of pole camp as being NHL ready for a contending team, I do not know. I would guess probably not.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. Yeah.
Finny Damhoos. I love this username.
Best
Finny
username,
Damhoos.
yeah.
Finny Damfoos is a good one.
So good.
Okay, what are you all sipping on? Alcohol or non-alcohol? Well, today, because I have to catch a flight to Nashville, which I'm still going to make, even though the Shark season's pretty much over, I'm going non-alcoholic for now. So I guess we all are. Because Dan Bo's not here. Dan Bo is a bad influence on us all. I think we're all going down non-alcoholic today.
Yes, I'm doing coffee because I have had 4 hours of sleep after a night shift.
There you go.
So, in my beautiful New Hampshire
black
mug.
coffee,
Yeah.
water with lemon from my Meyer lemon tree,
Nice.
and some electrolytes. And
Just had
and then
coffee.
I just finished the coconut water.
Wow.
And I will
He's
say,
hydrated.
I'm a fan of The Far Side, if anyone remembers his comic. So this is my coffee mug. So yeah,
Somewhere in my
Nice.
brain, way back there.
Gary Larson.
Well, what do we drinking when it's alcoholic?
Ooh, good question.
I'm usually doing a bourbon.
Oh, is that the question? I don't know if he's asking the for like
now
like
or
right
not?
now or in general.
In general, yeah. I'm
So-
usually sipping on a bourbon when we're hamming, or a pilsner or a lager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
I like a good. I guess I like a good Scotch. So yeah, so
I'm a gin man. I love gin.
Gin
All
man.
right.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
I like gin, or I'm drinking on a lager.
Oh, you know what I really got into non-alcoholic is I buy a lot of poppies now.
No, like the sodas?
Yeah. But they're like there's less sugar in them, and like there's 5 grams of sugar or something like that, and so a lot less sugar in them. They taste pretty good. So yeah, they kind of give I guess fill the sweet tooth need without too much sugar. They're not like when you have a Coke and it's like 70% of your daily sugar intake right in that can. So okay, Giant Shark Tooth Necklace asks. Okay, so is there a specific player that you would like to see the Sharks trade for at the deadline to help with the playoff push? What would your offer have been for that kind of player? Take it or leave it? And do you think that Mike Grier made the right call to wait until the offseason to make any major moves? And I'll start with this one. Yeah, I think it's easy to look back and say, oh, we should have given a first-round pick for John Carlson. Do you really want to give a first-round pick for a pending UFA who, granted, gives you some great games, but he may not be here, If you can sign John Carlson immediately, okay, that might be something, but there's no guarantee of that for a pending UFA who might just go back to Washington, right? So I do think that Mike Grier made the right call. I mentioned John Carlson, and he is specifically the kind of guy that Sharks could have used for sure, no doubt about it. And the kind of take it or leave it offer, though, I think that what we've seen with Mike Grier over the years is he's pretty much like he sets kind of okay, you want Mikael Granlund? Give us a first-round pick. So I think the reverse works here, too, that I don't think he was going to dip into his first-round picks for what was available at this trade deadline. And so he had second-round picks, and he put that into Keith Sherwood, agree or not. Second-round picks weren't going to get you John Carlson or really any defenseman that really would have helped you. I think second-round picks got you Logan Stanley or got Buffalo Logan Stanley. But I don't know, Logan Stanley makes a substantial dent to what the Sharks need in terms of the puck moving that Zubair that you focused on. So anyway, that's my overall thought. That I'm okay with what happened this trade deadline, basically.
I do like Logan Stanley, by the way. I would have loved Logan Stanley here. I think he's a significantly upgraded Desharnais. So I like Logan Stanley's game. But I agree with you. I think that Grier made the right decision waiting to make major moves. I think this team needs a lot of pieces, as you can expose in these recent set of games as they're pushing and playing meaningful games. I think we're more than one player away, and there's a lot of young players still developing. So I think waiting for the right piece, Shane, something you talk about a lot. You always reference, Chara. I think we're far away from that one piece too. I think there's a couple of pieces we need to continue to develop, and I think these 2 first-round picks are going to be valuable as well. So I'm glad he held his chips.
You could also get Logan Stanley in the summer too. So
yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
So, yeah,
I just said I like him. I do think he moves the needle. Like to that question earlier, I don't think you need. Like I just think realistically, out of fantasy land, you're not going to get like a Hughes or something. But even guys that can get pucks through and play a little bit better in terms of puck moving out of our zone and better in the boards and having that quick pace, I think Logan Stanley does a lot of those things. I don't think he's a silver bullet, but I think that he can improve your defensive back end, which you can get with a couple of guys.
Oh yeah,
like
no
that.
one's arguing that. Yeah, no one's arguing that. I'm just saying that second round pick, you're not getting a guy who really moves the needle.
Mm-hmm,
So All right. Let's see. James R has a question specifically for Keegan. Realizing there is no Schaefer, are there any defensemen in this year's class that could step into the NHL lineup next season and be a legit everyday defenseman?
I think you could make arguments for everybody except for probably Rudolph, Lynn, and Villeneuve.
Anyone in the top 5 or 7, I guess?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is, like, you could. I think of those 3 guys, probably not. Like, there's just
okay.
there's too much to do, and Villeneuve and Lynn are too tiny right now.
Okay.
Not that they're small, but too tiny. And then Rudolph has a little bit ways to go defensively to really make an impact. The other guys, like Smits, is you played in the Olympics, he played at World Juniors, he's played at a men's league the entire year. I could see him coming in and actually playing a bottom pair role in the NHL next year if a team wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He has enough to his game. He's very quick, very physical, a decently reliable defender, and he can get his shot off onto the net so he can contribute on offense. I don't know if he would do a ton. He's not going to be Schaefer. He's not going to come in and score 20 goals, but he could play, I think, in the NHL next year if the NHL team wanted him to. So,
all right. Quick follow up, King. Can Daxon Rudolph
right next year? No.
Yeah.
No, he just said no. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
okay.
I don't think so. I think he's got too much to do defensively, like, to really hold his own. I think there's a lot there offensively and on a power play, but I don't think an NHL coach would trust him enough to play him right now. I think like I said, the skill on power play is there for sure. And then other than that, like, Verhoff's been playing at a high level right now, but I think even then you'd probably want him to go back and really be a dominant D in college rather than just like doing well. But he could do it. Like, he does have enough well-rounded game. It's possible. Carroll's kind of reminds me of Sam Dickinson, honestly, like the way that he plays. So he went back another year. I think he probably goes back another year. And then Reed is, in my opinion, like the highest skill level, highest upside, but he's also committed to college next year. So I think a team would want him to go to college, probably. So Smits would be my answer. Probably.
Yeah, most likely. Okay. James R had another question. Basically, do you feel comfortable running back with the same goaltending duel? And I say yes. To answer the other part of James's question here, do you explain the poor goaltending down the stretch by poor defense? Yes, absolutely, yes, 100 times yes. So I feel okay with it. Obviously, there's no guarantees with Nedeljkovic and Askarov, but I want to see them with better defense in front of them, a reconstructed defense in front of them this summer. So I think we probably all agree on this. So we can go to the next question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yetis ask basically of Musty, Bystedt, and Haltonen, who is the most likely to go? So that's a good one. So if anyone has a thought on it, I have a thought on it too. So
most likely, my guess would be Bystedt, just because we have our centers pretty laid out, and I think he brings some value. I think there's a position for Halton in a bottom 6 position. I think Musty in a middle 6. Musty, if he ends up figuring out, other than just his offensive creativity, which is both goal scoring and passing, I think that creativity and IQ is really valuable in the way that the Sharks do play the game. So I see a path to him playing a middle 6 role, and can be valuable. So I think Bystedt most likely.
Yeah. I think Musty and Bystedt are both like fairly likely because they have a decent amount of value. And I mean, even the Sharks' wings are fairly well mapped out too, I think. So there's a chance that Musty's pushed out too. I think Halton's just his value isn't that high around the league at this point. He could build it up still, but right now he has his shot, but he's playing like a third, fourth line role for 13 minutes a night. He hasn't really made his impression yet. And so maybe he will next year, raise his value. Yeah. Keegan, do you have any thoughts on this? Or
I agree. I think teams will value Bystedt the most just because he's a center.
Center, yeah, that's a good point. Good point. Yeah. Okay. Rob S. asks, does Shakir want to return to San Jose? And so I guess we don't know that for sure, but I think that Yeah, I mean, I could see Shakir wanting to go somewhere else that gives him more kind of confidence, more sure playing time. But if we want the honest truth of it, though, like, I'm not sure if there is a place in NHL where he'll get that because I don't think he's proven enough. It's one of those, um, what we see with a lot of kind of talented prospects who are just kind of stuck between the top of the AHL and the bottom of the NHL, that they want more, but they haven't quite earned it yet. And so, yeah, that's generally what I think of that. And I'll give you guys a chance to answer that one if you guys want, but I'm gonna throw out one more question from Rob S. Just basically about Mario Ferraro. He asks, is there a micro stat for unforced icings? And he thinks Ferraro leads the league. I don't think that there is a stat for that, but I doubt that Ferraro leads the league in that. I don't know. That's not something that Mario is great at, but I don't know if he would lead the league in it. And then the real question is just at this point, if Ferraro can improve upon his puck skills that much, or is he basically a glass and out defenseman? And I don't know if I wouldn't quite call him glassing out. I think he's better than like the worst puck moving defenseman in the league, but he's not great at it either. And I don't think he's, once you're 27, I don't think your game changes that much. I don't think there's going to be too much change in his puck moving in the coming years. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts of either of Rob S's questions.
Yeah, I got some thoughts on the Ferraro portion. I remember Ferraro talking about this a couple of years ago about how he was watching Makar and was like, when he always played with Makar in college and was like, hey, I tried to walk the blue line and stuff, and I would practice that and practice. I just couldn't get it down. And it's like, these things are so hard to develop too. And he really doubled down on his game. And what I find really interesting in this Sharks season is, we got to see the Sharks play meaningful hockey again. And when the Sharks were playing playoff type games, it was really interesting to see the players that really performed well as the game changed. And, playoff hockey is completely different than regular season hockey. And Ferraro is one of those people for me. Like, being a glass out guy or being able to shut down plays, I thought he was great in this last little bit, in this last little run. And Keegan, you talking about as well. I think if you pair him with the right guy, I think he doesn't need to change his skill sets. His skill sets are extremely valued. He shuts down and breaks down plays really well. He's good on the penalty kill. He blocks shots. And sometimes you need a glass out guy just to distill all the pressure. Yeah, I think you don't necessarily, I don't think his puck handling skills need to improve. And I think he's still a very valuable player on the right squad.
Okay.
So Sven asked, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized Dan Boyles or one Dan Boyle-sized duck? So I'll go with 100 duck-sized Dan Boyles. That's
one
me,
Dan
so...
Boyle-sized duck. I'm taller than Dan Boyle.
One Dan Boyle-sized duck. Yeah,
I'm taller than Dan. It's fine. His height is canonical. We can look it up.
It's a really massive duck. Have you seen Batman Returns? That's the penguin and his duck boat. That's a pretty massive, scary ass duck.
I don't know, 100 ducks. I just also don't want to kick that many ducks. It's kind of sad.
As someone who had pet ducks once, they're.
Oh wait, I guess they're Dan Boyles, not ducks. Anyway. So kicking 100 Dan Boyle.
Yeah, kicking Dan Boyle.
I don't know. It seems more terrifying. Honestly, this big Dan
Boyles in the face.
It's fucking terrifying.
Well, does the duck have a Dan Boyle attitude or like a duck attitude?
Yeah, of course it does. I think I had to presume that it has Dan Boyle's attitude. Yeah.
Oh, dude, if it has Boyler's attitude, a duck the size of Boyle with his attitude, that's fucking scary.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but 100 of them?
Yeah,
100 little ones?
Do you get a weapon?
Too.
Wait, do you get a weapon?
Yeah,
that's not part of the question. I assume you don't get a weapon, or you can find one. I guess you can find one. This is just like real world
mono and mono, duck versus man. That's what I'm going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, 100 ducks, you're going to get bit the fuck up.
Yeah.
You're sitting there trying to snap necks. You got to snap 100 duck necks? That's a lot of necks.
One Dan Boyle-sized duck will just sit on you, or
well, you can
check you.
Are you in a confined space? We have so many follow-up questions.
Yeah, well, that's not provided here, right?
One-on-one fight to the death. That's fine.
Needed to offer more of a setting for this fantasy.
We need more rules. Yeah.
Okay.
Dan's gonna smack me when I see it when he sees me.
Okay, James Murphy asks, basically, with the season on the line, does it not make sense to at least pull Cagnoni up to run the point of the power play? And I'll jump on this one. I've said this quite a few times, that he's not here with as bad as the Sharks power play has been and how poor they are defensively speaks more to the prospects' development. I don't mean that in a nasty way, but that's just the reality of it. The Sharks desperately would want Nolan Allen to come over and take over and be your shutdown defenseman, Luca Cagnoni to take John Klingberg's job forever and ever. So yeah, I'll just add one more thing, that I think the Sharks are going to just roll with their best lineup until they are mathematically eliminated, which they should. I see a lot of talk like, oh, the Sharks should start calling up guys now so the prospects can have pretend real hockey time. And it's like, you're trying to make the playoffs still. You're still hoping.
Cuda are also competing and stuff. So.
And they're also on a 9-game losing streak, so they're in their own bit of trouble. But anyway, though, yeah, like, if you're trying to, you just keep rolling with your best possible line to make the playoffs until you're out of it. Then you're out of it. Okay. It could be with 1 or 2 games left in the season. Then you call up Cagnoni and whatnot. So, okay. Spawn or Scott, I know, but yeah, it's Spawn. I think we kind of answered this. What would you do with Farrell, Mukhamadullin, and Desharnais? I'm not into all the 3 different kind of players there, but.
Actually, trade, sign.
Let's, We already talked about that, but actually, he has a better question here in terms of, or a different one. The other question was fine, but we already answered it. Are the Sharks pushing Dickinson and maybe Polkamp when he arrives too hard and too soon? He doesn't want Dickinson to go the way of Miracle Mueller. So that's a good question.
I think they're just different players. And Mirko was just not as engaged as Dickinson. Didn't have the offensive talent of Dickinson. I'm not that worried in terms of him going the way of Miracle Mueller. I do think, to Zubair's point, there might be a scenario where he doesn't reach a super high offensive ceiling because he's played in the NHL too early, but not the you're going to be out of the league in 3-4 years like Mirko was.
Yeah.
We talked about this, Keegan, you and I, a lot with Dick and Sam, that we never thought he was going to hit that high offensive ceiling just because he has a lot of physical tools, but just the processing isn't at the, elite offensive pace in this league. I don't know if we'll ever get there, which is fine. To answer Spawn's question a little bit, though, we honestly don't know. This is where you just have to trust the Sharks development staff, right? That they know what they're doing with Sam. They've done a good job, I think, with Will Smith. We've seen with Misa, with other players. So have to trust that they know what they're doing with Sam Dickinson. Every player is indeed different. So Megabyte asks, basically, any chance that Nedeljkovic isn't going to return? And obviously, Nedeljkovic signed a 2-year contract, so I think that they're going to give him a shot with the scar off, and again, rebuild the defense in front of them. And guys, jump in. We're ripping through this a little bit, so just jump in if there's anyone that you really want to answer. So Biscuit Boy asks, is Askarov's glove hand fixable, number 1? And then I will get to a second question in a second. And I would say, I would think it would be. Obviously it's it seems like an issue now, but there's no reason why it can't be worked on. Yeah.
It's been kind of talked about for a long time, though. I would say that's my response, is that he's now yes, this is his first NHL year, but it's been a problem for a while. And I think we had, was it Kevin Woodley on who talked about it too? As a problem. It's that and seeing through traffic that really kind of can bury Askarov in games. It's open shots to his glove and seeing pucks through traffic. And he didn't, I would say there was that November, he was otherworldly. And that's the Askarov when it is on, it's otherworldly. But I do think that there is something there that we'll see. He needs more time with the goalie coach, but it's not it's not a concern. I think it definitely could be.
I think we have a Kevin Woodley question later, so we'll get to that. Okay, next question, Will Smith. Can he learn to become stronger with the puck instead of
I saw it last night. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, he's 20, right? So or 21.
And he's aware of it too. In one of his interviews, he's like, "What do you got to work on? I got to get stronger."
Yeah, he knows.
He's fully aware of it. I think
he's been used to Go ahead, Zeke. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the one thing I will say is after the injury he took on, which was probably upper body from that hit he took, there was some trepidation with him when he had the puck. I saw some forced plays, and that's normal. Like, you get hit in the NHL and you're hurt, and I think there was some fear that I was observing where he would button hook or dump the puck in, or just throw it sideways horizontally as soon as he sensed someone on him. And I think his development and strength will give him confidence, and I think he could definitely to build strength. He will build strength.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is that he is playing wing, right? Not center. So he played center for so long.
Yeah.
Like, and that was one of the concerns that I had moving him to wing, was just his board play wasn't very good. And he often didn't have to be the guy getting the puck. And now he has to be the guy getting the puck off the boards. So it's not just like, it's also him learning a new position at the same time as learning a new style of play. So give him some time.
And I'll just
Okay.
add to that one last thing quickly too, is, going back to the part of playing meaningful games. I was talking to Shane with this last night at the game, where, I think it really exposed the areas of Smith and where he needs development. And that's the importance of a team playing meaningful games. I think it's not just his strength. I think his gap control, his pace, these are all things that he'll improve with strength as well.
Yeah, hopefully all this motivates him too, right? This kind of recent stretch where he has struggled in the last couple weeks or so, I'd say, if we're being honest. But he can use that as motivation and not as a nail in the coffin of his career, which I think that people can be too quick to do, in a rough stretch of play, right?
It's your first time playing playoff-like hockey. Like, you're going to learn.
Yep.
It's great to have that experience. Yeah.
Yep. Stefan Schwartz, basically, we've actually talked, well, number one, he asked, okay, so if you can't get the number one defenseman, do you think that D by committee route is the way to go? And can you talk about some middle pairing options, which we did in recent episodes with Jason Demers. He mentioned Kesselring, Morgan Riley, Schneider in New York, and Dougie Hamilton, any others that we're seeing. Quickly, if you can't get that number one guy, and there's so few of them, the Quinn Hughes types, then of course you had to go by committee. You have no real choice there, right? So I can see that most likely happening with the Sharks, just because they have to.
God,
they
I
have
would
to
love
improve their
Zach
team.
Werenski so much.
Again, though, so there's only so few of those guys.
We'll talk about that when Boilers is here. He posed a question in our group thread last week.
Yeah. But in terms of, okay, so
middle pairing options, I think
go back to the episode we did with Jason Demers. We talked a lot about that. But do you have any other names besides that mentioned here?
I feel like we'll get to that question better later in the off season when we start really looking at free agents and what's available. So I'd say TBD on that one, Stefan.
Yeah, makes sense.
I did want to add though that I right now, call me crazy, but like, I wouldn't mind Darnell Nurse for like half the price or 2/3 of the price as he is now on this team.
Oh yeah,
so
he gets a lot of flack.
I think he'll add something.
We talked about that with JD too. I think JD mentioned
we did.
So we'll go back to the episode, but I think a lot of people are hard on Nurse because of the price tag. But he's a very serviceable.
It's also in Edmonton too. Yeah, but I don't think he's a bad player though, and he's a great guy. Yeah, which makes it
very serviceable on the Sharks blue line.
Yeah, exactly. No, he'd be more than serviceable on this blue line.
100%.
Faulty Synapse asked a similar question about a defenseman. So basically, if the Sharks had made a trade, like he just says that prime age, right-handed defenseman, they cost. You look back at the Quinn Hughes trade, first-round pick, top prospect, top roster player. So if the Sharks were able to make that kind of trade, how would the system look? Well, it looked pretty depleted. So again, if you imagine if the Sharks had traded for Quinn Hughes and they had traded equivalent package of William Eklund, Sam Dickinson, a first-round pick, and Quentin Musty, which is kind of roughly what the Wild traded. The Wild traded to Vancouver. That's going to be a pretty. If you're okay with that, then you're okay. Then okay. But that's what it'll look like. So you can just imagine it in real time. If you make a trade for Zach Werenski and the cost, right? It's not going to come cheap. So.
It definitely will not. And now that trade happened, it kind of set the price for these guys like Fox and Werenski probably.
Right. And Faulty kind of said, like, okay, can you examine what the Sharks organizational depth and asset pool would look like? But I just told you, you lost 4 pieces there. We just traded for Quentin Hughes. Congratulations. But you lost all these pieces. Are you okay with that? And maybe
Well,
you
if
are.
we get Gavin McKenna this, in the lottery, maybe.
Yeah, maybe you are, right? But anyway, so that's what it'll look like, though, right there. Just Steve asked, a lot of criticism with how Warsofsky has managed Mukhamadullin. How do we feel that the Sharks have handled Mukhamadullin and any other kind of prospects? So let's talk specifically about Mukhamadullin. And Keegan loves Mukhamadullin, so do I. So what do you think, Keegan?
I understand, like, what, well, in some ways I understand. I personally don't think that he's been as bad as, like, warranting most of the scratches that he gets. Like, I think there's sometimes when they kind of overthink things. Like, they basically took him out of both Edmonton games. Maybe it's a matchup thing. Maybe they're worried about McDavid's speed on him or something, and then they go ahead and lose those games anyway. And I don't know. There's times when I see the vision with Mukhamadullin, and then there's times when I definitely understand why they take him out. But it's getting to the point where you wonder if, like I said, that he might be traded just because a different team that is in a situation that could give him more leeway, like a Vancouver or somebody that's really heading into a rebuild rather than trying to come out of one, might be able to mold him into something good. With more minutes, more time, more leeway. And also, he just had a lot of injuries, and it's been kind of a up and down, like start go kind of thing. But I do like the player. These are, like, I don't think he's not like a lost cause. Like, there's still something there with Mook. It's just a question of how do you harness it, and is it going to be on the Sharks where it does get harnessed?
I did want to add that you mentioned something, though, that tells you something about maybe Mukhamadulin's path, that, like, you say, like, go to Vancouver, you're going to get more leeway. You're basically saying that he's headed toward being a good player on a bad team, which doesn't really help the Sharks much,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I mean, yeah.
I also would add that he seems like the type that, like, his confidence does get hurt by getting sat. But again, I think he is earning getting sat. And so that's kind of a cycle, a circle. You can't just give him games because he hasn't been that good either, to be honest, right? So I think it's tough. Yeah, go ahead.
I think a lot of this answer too is like hindsight, right? Like, if you liked his development, if not, if he didn't get injured. But overall, I think I do think I wish he was played more. The Sharks not making playoffs, you need to focus on development a little more. It's a spectrum, it's a continuum, it's not binary. It's not like let him play every game. But I think some of the benchings did feel, from my perspective, overblown. And to your point, Shang, like, we've seen him do well when he strings games together, and he builds confidence. And if you know that, he's dealing with injuries, maybe give him a little grace and coach him through and give him that confidence. You hear Warso the other night talk about Dickinson and be like, hey, this guy's going to be in the NHL for a long time. He had a great game, put together some complete games a while ago. If he made some mistakes, it's okay. We got to coach him through that. I would love those same sorts of statements made around Shakir and kind of give him that same sort of.
Yeah, I got to push back on a lot of this. Yeah, because, sorry, go on, finish your point though. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that I would have liked to for them to give him his confidence, because I think he does have some unique assets that I don't see that he does really well. I think he can skate the puck out of the zone. There was moments even last night where he looked good through the neutral zone with some nice zone entries. He goes to the net when he's confident.
Yeah, no one questions he has skills.
And so,
And
so I think you could develop those other parts of his game better if you let him play more frequently.
The one thing I would counter with the Dickinson part, though, is that one guy's 19, one guy's 24. Exactly how Warsofsky talked about Dickinson is how David Quinn talked about Mukhamadullin a couple years ago. And it just didn't. Yeah. It didn't. It just hasn't. You can blame injuries or whatever you want, but it just hasn't taken off for Shakir, and he has a lot of talent. We agree, and I want to emphasize that, like, I've liked Shakir a lot. He's always high up on my prospect rankings.
You're also seeing a league now where you're seeing a lot of late bloomers, especially on D, and D do take longer to develop, and people are on their own development path. just because he's 24, I don't think you write him out. I think that's still a great age to develop a great defenseman.
I'm just saying that it's 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 just a different situation. It's not a 1-for-1. Why doesn't he talk about Dickinson or Mukhamadullin like he talks about Dickinson? Well, again, one guy is 19, one guy is 24.
So you're saying age is the reason, and I'm saying I'm pushing back on age being the reasoning. Do you have another reason? Because I don't think age should be the reason.
It's 3-4 years of pro experience.
Yeah.
So that's not purely an age thing. It is also multiple years of experience of trying to develop the player and getting him to improve from what he was 3 years ago when he was AHL All-Star.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned he's done well when he's been given games, but that was last year when the Sharks, we talked about end of season hockey.
Yeah.
We're talking about totally different things, and so
yeah, that's fair.
Again, the Sharks have been trying to make the playoffs all year, and a lot of times he's not in the lineup, and again that tells you something. I mean, I don't know, I don't know what else to say about that, but so I don't know. I guess the question was just about in terms of how he's been handled. And so I don't have a major problem with it. I do think he can be a late bloomer type, where he might really figure out this game 27, 28. And a lot of times when that happens, he's just not in the organization that, he won't be with the Sharks anymore. But he's just if Gushin ever becomes a player that we hoped he would become, it wasn't going to be with the Sharks because he wasn't doing it at 22, 23. At some point, guys have to leave organizations. You can't keep guys forever just because they're talented. Right. And so that's how the system works, that guys are shuffled, waivers, right? Guys are shuffled off eventually. Mm-hmm. And so that might be what happens with Mukhamadullin. And if that were to happen with Mukhamadullin, I don't think that is necessarily because the Sharks didn't develop him. He just wasn't ready at 24 to take a job. And maybe he will be ready at 27, 28. Right. So again, I don't know. I don't really think it's a development thing, in my opinion. I guess we'll talk more about that, but over the summer. But Michael K asked, okay, what are our options in free agency if Polkamp and Cagnoni don't grow in the NHL level? Well, that's
Darren Raddysh, baby.
Yeah, Darren Raddysh, right? Besides that, I guess he's asking other options by trade or whatnot. I guess we'll talk a lot about this, right? And we did do this with JD a couple weeks ago. I guess part of the question is if there's anybody different that has popped to mind in the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I've thought of anybody else, I guess, besides our last podcast about it.
You could think about Nick Blankenberg. He's tiny, but he's had a little bit of
we mentioned that last,
we did as well. He's had a little bit of a good period of time here with Colorado. So could think about him. But you're kind of not a lot of the free agency options where Darren Raddysh or bust at this point.
Kind of interest you in another side of Mario Ferraro.
Yeah. Jacob Trouba, I guess, maybe.
Is Trouba a free agent?
I'm pretty sure he's becoming a free agent this year. Okay. I think so, unless the Ducks re-signed him.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to dig. Yeah, that is a question a lot of people have, even though, we talked a bit about it, but I got to look at the list again. I guess I got to dig deeper on the teams. Hey, one team that just actually we thought would make the playoffs, but they might be headed for changes is Detroit, missing the playoffs again. So, and they have a lot of talent on that team, right? On defense, all over the place. So maybe that's a team, who knows, if the Yzer plan, those are the teams that you're looking for, though, right? We always talk about the teams that are, how do you say it, are in trouble.
Get our Wallman 2.0.
Yeah, you find something like that. Or obviously the Rangers we've talked a lot about, the Canucks. Yeah. This is one thing that we did forget to mention the last time we talked about this, that I wanted to say that, to me, the dream guy that's maybe realistic for the Sharks to acquire might be Filip Hronek.
Yeah. We've talked about that before.
Like realistic, but ideal, right?
Yeah.
So
I see that.
Yeah, the contract fits, the age fits, the all-around game fits, all that. So, and in Vancouver, what are they fucking doing, right? So,
nobody really knows. And yes, Trouba is a free agent. He's had 34 points in 78 games this year with
I didn't really that many points. I didn't even know he was doing that. Okay,
he's got 10 goals. He's back to his,
he was doing that
and scoring.
Back in the day. Yeah, hidden scoring. All right.
Hidden scoring.
Cole CV asked, and we talked a little bit about this, but if Austin Matthews does become available, do we think the Sharks will be players in that? We talked a lot about that last week, but let's just say, do we think the Sharks will be players in it? And the second question is, a lot of talk about the Sharks acquiring a 1D. What do you think it looks like? Well, yeah, we talked a lot about this too, but should I just summarize, or do you guys have anything new to say?
No, nothing new. I feel like we've
Okay.
talked to this a lot. So
I just want to answer the question though for you quickly, Cole. So we talked about Austin Matthews last episode. We can see both. We all agree. We can see the Sharks looking into him, but the priority is probably on defense for your assets. And in terms of what one defenseman would cost, well, we saw with the Quinn Hughes trade, right? So, or even Zach Werenski. Like, are you okay with trading this current Sharks team off this current Sharks team? William Eklund, Sam Dickinson, first round pick, and say Quentin Musty. What do you think of that? If you're okay with that, for me, I've talked about that package, but maybe switch out Dickinson for the Sharks first round pick. I might be okay with that because I think you need to keep Dickinson. That's just my opinion. But anyway, so we've kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Dickinson is really that like one step forward, two step back kind of thing. Like I don't want to.
Yeah, if you trade him. Yeah.
You should probably just try and trade the multitude of forward depth if you can. I don't know if you can, but that's probably what Grier is looking at too. Is like that's all he can do. So, and then I don't think Hronek will cost that much. So I think I like the idea more of like a Hronek for now because
I don't think it'll cost quite that much. Yeah, and he's not a true one defenseman.
No,
so, he's just
like a
number
good,
2.
Yeah, or like a good top pairing. What the Sharks need, but not like, and maybe more by committee if they get him plus a bunch of dudes.
He'd be an upgrade on the placeholder number 1D that the Sharks have been trying to run out there the last few years.
Vinny Desharnais.
Yeah, or Orlov, or Ferraro, or Wallman. Yeah. Okay, so Jiggles, this is a fun one. Do you ever see yourselves doing a live in-person recording of the pod with an audience? Yeah, actually, I think so, especially...
Fun.
Yeah. Zubair, Jiggles asked if we ever will do a live in-person recording. Yeah, before, when it was just me and Keegan, it was kind of hard to do because obviously Keegan's in Rhode Island and I'm here. So to do it live, it's just me live somewhere or Keegan live, right? And, it's hard to get together. But now, though, I'm here and Zubair is here and Dan Boyle is here, so we can do it. Or we can wait for Keegan to come and all 4 of us can do it. So, so I think it's a lot more doable, a lot more fun than just me talking by myself or Keegan talking by himself. So so it's very, very
or
doable.
I can be like the in like Tropic Thunder with Tom Cruise where I'm in the background of the webcam and I just like yell at you guys the whole time.
Wait,
I can't see that guy.
Wait, close the camera. Fuck you!
Fuck you. Hit that director right in the face. Dan Boyle, punch him right in the face.
Hit Sheng Peng in the face right now.
Exactly. That's my vision. Or no, when I go to San Jose, I think that will be the time.
No, it'll be good. Okay. All right. Sarge asked, 2026 draft, the Sharks have the 9th pick. Where are they in the tankathon? What's their order? Are they
9th and
11th
17th?
They're 9th right now? Okay.
Yeah, and then we have the Edmonton 17th. Yeah,
Edmonton 17th. So top 4 demon are gone. The fans want Daxon Rudolph.
Yep.
Grier correctly selects Oscar Hemming. So this is a good one for Keegan, I think.
I like it.
So Sharks Nation goes ballistic. They wanted a demon at all costs. So my question is, what's the outrage? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of outrage. I don't know if we need to even it'll be 9 or 10.
If Daxon Rudolph's there, it's going to be like a 9 or 10.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let me ask you, Keegan, then.
Yep.
I mean, this specific scenario, if you're at the 9th pick and, the top 4 guys are gone, that's Reed, Carroll, Smits, and who's the other guy? Verhoff, right? They're all gone. Do you take Rudolph or Hemming if you're the Sharks?
Rudolph, 100%.
Okay.
I'm on Rudolph, too, 100%.
Team Rudolph.
Yeah.
No.
Why does this guy like Hemming? Why does Sarge like Hemming so much?
I don't know if the Sharks like Hemming so much. I think he's just kind of a...
Sarge.
Sarge.
Yeah,
Hemming's an interesting player. He big winger, just got into college this year, had a pretty hot start, and then kind of trailed off after that. Lots of skills, big guy. You kind of look at like Chernyshov and hope he turns into that kind of thing. but and he probably will get selected in that like 10 to 12 range. Maybe a team loves him and picks him higher. I think he's just saying that because it's like a BC. I think he's a BC guy, and then also it's a big guy that Grier might like.
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
So
big
it's
guy
probably
too.
like like a Grier pick, like that's the thing here. But I honestly, I think he probably choose Daxon Rudolph. So the outrage would be like a 9 or 10. I also wouldn't pick Hemming there. I like Hemming, but not above Rudolph. So
okay, well, Sarge, then the San Jose Hockey Now front office brain trust of Zubair and Keegan have selected Daxon Rudolph, so don't worry about it.
Don't yell at us. Yeah,
yeah.
It's not our fault.
Not Alex Rudolph, or I'm sorry, not Alex Korolyuk, another one of my favorite names, and this is my buddy Anthony too, so shout out. Not Alex Korolyuk asked, so setting aside team needs, what players would you like to see with the Sharks in some point for the next 3 years, simply for your own personal enjoyment? So again, more fantasy line here. So let's go through this quick. Let's just pick one fantasy player for the Sharks.
Brady Tkachuk. Let's go.
Brady Tkachuk, that's a good one. The excellent with Macklin. What do you think, Keegan?
I don't know. I'm going to say Zach Werenski. That's the answer.
Zach Werenski. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's great.
That's a great one.
He's the dude. He's like he has it all. He is a great leader. He's not stuck on a team. Like I'm sure he loves Columbus very much.
Are they going to make the playoffs this year? I know they slumped each other. Oh, okay. So that's another vulnerable team there too, right?
That's
I think they're just on the outside.
Yeah. No, and we talked about Werenski when Hughes got traded, and Columbus was struggling then, and so so we're looking at teams that
they're outside 92 points. They could steal the Flyers spot, right? They're in the same division as the Flyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are. They could steal the Flyers spot, but they're still 2 points behind them as well.
You guys are so unimaginative, though. So this is fantasy line. I want Connor McDavid.
Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm honestly, no offense, but I'm sick of Macklin's teammates healing his passes. Okay, I want Connor McDavid. I want
the
Connor
man.
McDavid here, right? I want them to pass to each other, right?
I want the man.
So, okay.
Fuck it, all
Ken
three.
Meehan,
Let's go.
Yeah, all three of them. Yeah, exactly. Ken Meehan asked, okay, so we're going to be the Sharks Brain Trust again. And so, okay, great year this year. So 1 or 2, 3 moves you make in free agency or in trades that would, in your mind, guarantee a playoff spot. Okay. And a combination just obviously needs to not negatively affect the locker room chemistry. So I'll start us off with the easy one.
Yep.
Let's sign Darren Radish. Okay, let's say that, right? And let's say he is like at least 3/4 of the player that he was this past year. And that would be good enough. So that's an upgrade. So what do you guys think from there? Give me another move.
Yeah, let's sign Darren Radish, but also with like my idea would be like super low term, super high AAV, just the way the Sharks cap structure is, like $10 million for 3 years or something.
I don't think that's realistic, though. Is this realistic part of this question? I think we have to assume realistic. I think you have to give Radish like
we might. Maybe he does prefer to have like an 8-year deal with like $6 million or whatever, or 7 or whatever.
Okay.
But maybe if we could swing him, because we have so much cap space in the next 2 to 3 years that like might just be left on the floor if we don't just shuck a ton of money.
Say he might take it then. Okay.
Maybe. Either way, that would be my ideal. If we have to sign him with a longer one, it's fine. Other than that, I would go after a true blue bottom 6 like anchor. Like I've talked about before, like a Boone Jenner or somebody that like is gonna, so that our fourth line is really, really competitive as a true playoff team. I think we've got a top 9 that's like rounding into form, but one more. I don't want to keep rolling out Dellandrea and Goodrow and trying to make.
Well, we have to be
things
realistic
work.
though, because they are. I mean,
that's realistic. Signing a good fourth liner is realistic.
Well, all right. I was just gonna say because they already. I think they've committed to Dellandrea and Goodrow.
I know.
Yeah.
They're asking us what we would do.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I do want to add though. I've had this thought a lot that haven't seen it out there, that I wonder with signing Dellandrea and Goodrow's contract expires
next year.
I wonder if they see Dellandrea as sort of a natural replacement for Goodrow, and maybe that's part of the reason why they've emphasized him. also the locker room stuff, but also seeing a guy that maybe can develop a little more offense, like Gaudreau did later in his career. So I wonder about that. That's just a thought I had. Belazar, this is for Keegan, and I think you kind of answered this about Smits, but okay, what's the timeline? Okay, what's the timeline for Smits?
Yeah,
and I guess if Dickinson and Smits hit. And he also asked about Wong. Well, Wong is, I think, kind of we're not sure. But okay, so if Dickinson and Smits hits, what kind of defense do you need to add around them? What type of player do you need to add around them? I think
you need to add a puck moving defenseman, right? Like by puck moving, I mean transition defenseman where he can carry the puck in. Smits can do that somewhat, but his hands are not amazing. Dickinson showed it in the OHL, but he's not transitioning the puck like he is right now. Wong, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, we know. He's a mystery box right now.
He's a mystery box, so I think you would need to have that transition defenseman. But I do think that Smits could. I think they're probably going to move him over to North America next year. I would imagine they would. A team would have the option to, so they could put him in the AHL if they needed to. So I would say that that's probably what a team will do. Like, hey, maybe you make the roster, maybe you can just play in the American League for now.
Develop him a little bit like Edvinsson, kind of, right? Like the Red Wings have developed.
Well, I think Edvinsson went back for a year to Sweden.
Oh, you're right.
But Smits is playing in the Liga, which I'm not in love with as a developmental league, and then he played at the Dell afterwards as well. So he played in the German league, got loaned to them after his Liga team, which is kind of interesting. So he's kind of like trying to get to he needs to be on a men's roster next year. And a team could easily just be like, let's go to the AHL.
Yeah. Okay. Really quickly sorry, I was trying to. Kyle Johnson. I see your note, Z, but just really quickly, Kyle is visiting San Jose in July, week of the Prospect scrimmage. He wants a ticket. I guess you can only get tickets for scrimmage being a season ticket holder. I didn't know that was the case. But anyway, if anyone want to hook up Kyle Johnson, contact us through the podcast and we'll help out. Kyle will also reach out to you directly too to help you out. Chris Gear ask, okay, so the Sharks end up just outside the top 8 and not high enough to take a top D-min. Should they package that first round pick and a prospect, Halton and Bystedt, got to throw Musty in there or somebody like that, to move into a position to get a top 4D prospect? Okay, so I think that's a good question for Keegan again. Are these guys worth it to package, say, number 9 and Musty or Bystedt, the highest value prospect you have available, to get even just a couple spots up? You may not get Reed, but you get like Carrolls or something like that. I don't know.
I think for the Sharks, yes, it makes sense.
Okay.
I don't think I don't think if we're like picking 9th that we're not going to get a D, though. I think that's the other thing that people are thinking, that like, oh, they're all going to go right in a row, plus the 2 wingers, and so then top 7, it's gone. I don't see that happening. I think Malhotra, Lawrence are going to sneak in there, maybe having another guy. There was been a couple drafts where it's like all D for the first 10 picks, but it's not that common. And a team will want a center. Like the centers always go. So Malhotra and Lawrence are your 2 top centers. They always end up going at some point in the top 10. So I really see that happening. And plus, we haven't even gotten to U18s yet. When that happens and there's like a guy that pops off there, I think we're kind of like putting the cart before the horse. So.
Okay.
Another idiot or another saying, man, I'm just like got a ball today. But if it's there and like you're worried that they're all gone and you can trade up to grab one, I think it's worth it for the Sharks to trade up.
We're cutting all your mistaken idioms out of this podcast. We're gonna ask AI to identify.
Please do.
All right. Radio headliner, the other James R ask, what does Kevin Woodley, or better yet Thomas Spears, say about Askarov's inability to stop shots high? We're gonna ask Kevin Woodley to come back on. Thomas Spears is not going to go on record for that. It's just not how things work. You never see goalie coaches talk about how their guys are doing great or how they're fucking up. So unfortunately, we're not going to get Thomas for that, but we can get Kevin Woodley. So we'll ask for him over the summer. So I think we'll just address that. And Keegan, didn't you tweet back then you worry about his hands? And Keegan just addressed it. He did address it. He was and he is. So so that is a thing we'll talk about.
I'm not a goalie scout, but it was one of those things that, you can see it. It's got to improve. But when he's on it, Yeah,
He's on it, right?
He's on
He's
it.
on it. Yeah.
You know, so
Okay, so
yes, Kevin Woodley.
Finco, yeah, we'll get Kevin Woodley on. Finco asks, there's a few questions here. We might go quick with this, but okay, so if Warsofsky keeps his job, which is likely, are any assistant coaches on a hot seat? Whether you're honest, right, this last week with his penalty kill, we have to wonder what's gone on with it, at least. They have to examine that. I'm not saying immediately you fire Doug Huda for it. That's not fair, but you have to at least wonder about a penalty kill that's given up 11 of the last 18 opportunities here at the most important time of the year. So I don't know if anybody else is really in question. The power play, I don't think is talented enough to really put that on Brian Wiseman. That's my opinion. And opinion of Thomas Sphere, goaltending coach, is pretty high around the league still, especially around what he did for Mackenzie Blackwood. So let's see if he can kind of fix up a scar for next year. Keegan, will you be repping any Sharks fandom at your wedding? So don't give it away, but just yes or no.
I'll be repping, hopefully you two. You guys will be my
All right. Well, then
my Sharks
I will be
representation.
wearing this Bring Hockey Back short shirt to the wedding.
Please do. Anna might be upset, but I think it would be funny.
Shorts.
Anna might be upset, but I think it would be hilarious. So
just that shirt with a bow tie.
Yeah, with a little bow tie and a blazer.
No, the blazer. I don't need a bow tie, just a blazer.
Just a blazer. No, but no, I probably will not have anything in my. Maybe I'll sneak something in my coat pocket. We'll see.
All right,
are you doing a custom suit?
No,
the inside liner. Oh, okay. I was going to say.
I'm just doing a Brooks Brothers suit and stuff
nice.
like that.
Podcast invite for Scott Hannon, Keegan's distant cousin or whatever.
Yeah.
You're welcome to the wedding. You're invited to the wedding.
Well, Shang, you can be your +1. Go talk to him. You can bring him
exactly.
If he wants to come.
Okay, so I'm asked any colleague of mine whose work I should, or that somebody's work that I think you should follow. So I'll think about that for a second. Zubair, your question is, what sticks do you rock? So tell us what kind of sticks you rock.
Yeah, I changed my twigs recently to Pro Stock hockey sticks, actually. If you guys haven't heard of them, that's what I've been using recently in terms of company, moving away from, I was Bauer guy for like a decade, love the Hyperlights, then moved to the CCM triggers because my nephew recommended it. I love the way the low kick was on that. And then a buddy of mine recommended Pro Stock hockey sticks, which I guess is the same brand that Ovi uses. So they're about half the cost of the Bauer or CCMs, but I'm using a Pro 28M cider. I love the curve on that thing. I used to do a P28, like a flatter curve. I shoot right. I've also been dropping my flex over the years. I'm over 200 pounds in weight, and I used to, have an 85 flex. JD was giving me, and Boyle were giving me shit for this.
Yeah.
But I think it's because technology has changed, and the new tech in the sticks, like, if you do a 65 flex, you could just rip that puck. And it feels really good. And I like a stiffer blade. So when I catch the puck, I can catch it with ease in one smooth motion, but the release off the blade is really nice. So I love the cider curve. I also have 2 McKinnon's Pros at a 70 flex with a light grip. So yeah.
Okay. And for myself, people I really like, I have on the show. So like, I love Jack Hahn's work. I think he has a different insight, right? Obviously, because he actually coached at a high level, at the AHL level. So he has a little more insight into things and into player development. So even if I don't necessarily I think if Jack was a coach, I don't know if I'd agree with all of his decisions, but he obviously just offers a lot of experience, and he's candid about stuff too. A lot of times you talk to people. That's why I go anonymous with a lot of scouts I talk to, because they can't be transparent with their name on top of it. You have to understand for their job, they just can't, right? But Jack can, because Jack's not necessarily looking to be hired in the for a pro coaching job now. I always look for a goaltending guy. If you look over the years, I always try to have a guy I can talk to about goaltending. In the past, we had Mike McKenna, who was great, but he's kind of dropped out of the media game. So right now, I think Kevin Woodley does a really good job. And so look for his work on NHL.com. He does a lot of great goaltending stuff that doesn't get a lot of attention because NHL.com is such a sprawling, huge site, and and he is their Canucks writer too. But like, if you look just for his articles on NHL.com, he does a really smart job of it. So those are a couple guys that stand out. Obviously, for the prospects, Chris Peters. I always try to get Chris Peters on. I love Chris's work, and he's very well connected. And so, anyway,
we have a.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt. We have some breaking news, you guys.
Oh,
Luca
is it
Cagnoni
Pocap?
has been recalled from the San Jose Barracuda.
wow.
Literally, like 20 minutes after
Okay.
our question about whether or not they would recall Luca.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, perfect.
Good. Well, okay. Good.
Do we edit it out? Do we
I
keep
thought
it?
they might hold out, but okay, until like they were done. But okay, good for him. Good for
Yeah,
Luca.
I just saw it on
Okay.
Twitter.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. We literally were just like, nah, they won't do that, and then they did.
Yeah.
Fuck, crazy
Okay.
man, crazy people. That's fun to
I
see.
will say the one thing that is sensible about that is that, like, yeah, like Klingberg, obviously his game has kind of dropped off since he had a little renaissance in December, and Dickinson hasn't taken that power play. So, granted, just very limited PP2 minutes, right? And I wonder if they just throw Luca onto PP1 because Orlov is not a PP1 guy, big picture either. So that'd be kind of interesting to see. Okay, I'm excited to see that. Something different at least. And hey, Luca, prove me wrong. I love you, Luca. So yeah, prove us all wrong. So that's great. Okay. Exciting news. Okay, so let's go on with Joe E. And what is the feelings from Scouts and Sharks management about the progress of the CUDA? They seem to have peaked a month ago and are running low on energy. And they are on, like I mentioned, a 9-game losing streak. And they have just lost Luca Cagnoni.
They did.
Yeah, so... Anyway, is there a concern with the CUDA if they get Pocamp and Selene Wallinius next year too, in terms of developing them? So, General Barracuda question. I'll jump ahead here and say, yeah, of course, it's a huge concern when you go on a 9-game losing streak. I just actually this morning I sent a text to a scout who watches a lot of CUDA. And he's like, I have no idea what's going on with that team. Like, in terms of just like they have probably too much talent to be losing like they're losing. So hopefully they figured it out. When I sent that text, like, because sometimes you'll hear back like they are what they are now. Like, because if you ask a scout about what's happening with the Sharks now and their losing streak, there's a good chance that's what you get back, I think, right? That this is actually closer to what they probably are, So with the CUDA, they should be better. Hopefully they can get themselves out of this tailspin. Now that they're going to be doing it without Cagnoni and obviously Chernyshov, but they will get those guys back soon. So I think that's an important thing to remember for the playoff run. Chernyshov was their best player when he was there, I thought, and so they're going to get him back, and they may have an upgrade with Pocamp in there too, coming soon. And like we talked about, I don't know if there's any real concern about their ability to develop defensemen. Joey, you mentioned Mukhamadullin, but that's one guy specific that hasn't produced maybe to his ceiling, but that's just one guy though, like Luca is still too young to say that, the Barracuda ruined him or whatever, right? And now we're going to see if Luca's got something this year. So I'm going to move on to the next question unless someone's...
that's fine with me.
Ricky LaFleur. Actually, I like this one by Ricky because I do want to answer this one. I'll let you guys go first on this one, but in Mike Grier's opening presser, his mission statement was that we were going to be a hard, heavy, difficult team to play against. Basically, the complete opposite of what they are. And he put Mike put an emphasis on size, industrious, dog, kill or be killed physicality. Why do you think he's deviated from his original blueprint? And actually, I'll jump ahead first. I don't think he has. I think it's just hard to build a team like this. You can acquire a bunch of big guys who are dogged. I'll be honest. I'm gonna admit my mistake, right? Like I always liked Luke Cunnin, right? But he just wasn't good enough in the end. Maybe it's because of his knee injuries or whatever, right? But he just wasn't. So you can get guys like that who are dogged, right? But they just aren't good enough players. And so in terms of to build a team that is like this but also good. And I would say like a guy like Stopchuk, right, is at least looks like a huge upgrade on 4 Cs of the past. Even I love Nico Sturm, but Zach's got a kind of nastiness to him, that Nico never had, and obviously also he's an upgrade on the other 4Cs that the Sharks have had in recent years too. Huge upgrade, right? And so to acquire a guy like that, though, you had to trade Fabian Zetterlund, a very popular guy who could pop in 20 goals for you, even if Fabian's a kind of an incomplete player in some ways. And so basically my point, Ricky, is that it's hard to build, Zubair's dream player for the Sharks, Brady Tkachuk. Be great to have Brady Tkachuk on the Sharks, right? His style of play, right, with Macklin, but that's hard to acquire. That's hard to draft. And so I don't think Mike's deviated from it. I think it's
he went and got Sherwood too, right?
Yeah, he's trying, right? He got Ostapchuk. So he's trying, but those are just players that it's hard to build that kind of attitude of team that's also highly skilled.
Plus, Celebrini will be one of the hardest players to play against during his career. So whether or not he's 6'5" or not, he will be one of the hardest players to play against. Just like Sidney Crosby is the hardest player in the world to play against, or was, Like,
I also want to add too that when you draft a player, right? A good team is made up of different parts too. So you can't say like, oh, hey, you shouldn't have drafted Will Smith at number 4. Either who is some big nasty guy in that draft, Keegan?
Not really. I mean, maybe you could have taken Ryan Leonard. He's more of a hitter, but Smith probably has a higher ceiling than.
Yeah, but a team is built up of different parts still, is just my point. Or like Sam Dickinson's spot, right? Like you could have got like maybe a Solberg type, right? But like who's maybe a little nastier, maybe. But do you do that? I don't know. I don't think so, right? So anyway.
And you chose that over Booyah, and Dickinson's a more physical defender than Booyah is.
He is.
I think the overall answer is we're trending in that direction. It takes time. Because it's hard to acquire.
It takes time.
Because I agree with Cheng's answer as well. So I think it's just trending in that direction.
Okay. Gary 2 asked, so it might be hard to find a true PP1 quarterback this offseason. So starting next year, would you prefer a younger option like Dickinson or Cagnoni? I'm going to add a bridge option again, right? Like a Sharks try with Klingberg. It's not Gary's question, but it's a realistic thing. Or should the Sharks go to 5-forward power play? So what do you guys think?
I'll say, like, first of all, it's a lot of pressure to put on a Caglioni. We'll see how he does in this stint now that we know he's coming up, and I'm excited for it. But I actually like the 5-forward power play option a lot, specifically after watching the Hawks game and putting Bedard up at the top of the umbrella. I thought was an incredibly bold move, and even being in the post game with their coach and talking about it. He was like, we intend to run this next season. I would love to see something like that at least be experimented with the Sharks power play. When you have Macklin, I feel like at times when he floats to the high position, because his ability with his hands and his skating actually opens up a lot. I just don't think we have the flanks like a Frondell yet. With the slap shots, I think you would need a Chernyshov or a Haltonen on the flanks to make it lethal. But I think the right winger pieces are coming up with like some one-timers that can make that lethal with Macklin at the top to sort of follow the Blackhawks power play, PP1. I would love to see that. I think a 5-forward unit could be really, really valuable. I think the concern there is sometimes defensively, but actually it's a 5-man D unit. And if they know their responsibility, with Macklin, I'm confident does defensively, I'm not worried about getting scored on or getting shorties on either with a 5-man unit. It's a 5-man defensive unit, and you could teach that. It's coachable.
I want to add to that we actually talked with Jack Hahn about this about a month ago, actually, and people forget because I got another question on Twitter, like, will the Sharks ever try a 5-forward power play unit this year? And they actually did. You guys forgot. It was the last game against Colorado, and they tried for one game before the Olympics, and they got killed, and not because of the power play, but they got killed in that game, and they never went back to it, which I think is telling.
I don't think we have the right pieces right now. Oh, but
I want to get to that. Yeah, that's what Jack basically was saying, because we asked Jack specifically about that, because that's right when it happened. That's the last time we had Jack on. And Jack said that the Sharks' current construction doesn't have that like Frondell piece, right? That kind of shot that you just kind of direct everything toward. And that's why he just suggested Patrick Laine, because then you can kind of funnel your attack toward him, right? And so right now, with what the Sharks have, I'm still fine with a bridge kind of guy. Like, I agree that obviously you would love for Dickinson or Cagnoni to take that job next year. Obviously, you would love that, but they've got to take it and not just give it to them. This is not 2023, 24 where we give like Kalen Addison PP1 just because there's no choice. The
Kyle
team
Burrows
is better than that.
PP1.
Yeah, yeah. So you can't do that to Macklin. You can't do that to everybody else. And so you probably need to get a bridge guy to at first, or you got to find that kind of guy you can focus the power play on, but that's tough. Frondell type, right? The Sharks could have drafted Frondell, but I still like Michael Misa more long term. I'll say that. And then Laine has a lot of issues with this game. I mean, Laine was available to anybody this trade deadline. No one touched him. Even though he is a legit power play piece. So that's a hard piece to find. So basically, I agree with what you're saying there. But right now, the Sharks are constructed. I don't know if it can be Haltonen, but I don't think it'll be next year. I don't think Chernyshov's shot is good enough to be your number one option on a power play. I don't know if it'll ever develop that way. I don't know if Haltonen maybe, but his all-around game is too far behind.
Yeah, I think the pieces could come internally. Yeah, I think it could be there. I want to see it. I think we might see it next year, depending what pieces develop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin asked, actually, I think we kind of answered this just about, who's available on defense, who can fit the Sharks, and, who's realistic. I think I added one earlier, Roenick, that I hadn't mentioned the last episode that I forgot. I was thinking about it after the episode, like, I can't believe I didn't mention that. Okay, here's a basic question, though. Do we see ourselves emptying the war chest for one-star a difference maker or multiple solid players, studs? I would say more likely it's probably multiple defensemen, right? Just because it's hard to get that 1D, right? So
yeah, I think they'd sign one. They sign one or two. They trade for one, likely, and then if there's somebody available, right? And so, but more than just trying to get the Werenskis and Foxes and stuff that we really want. But I don't think I don't know. It's hard to pull off those trades.
The next one who will be very available might be Fox, but we don't know. He has so much power over where he goes that I don't know if he want to come to San Jose.
Yeah.
Verinsky is still a little bit of a pipe dream because Columbus, they were good this year overall. So I don't know if they're breaking it up. We'll see what they plan on doing, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, also Kevin mentions Kesselring. What's his value? It sounds like what from Jason Demers said, he's not playing a lot, so the Sharks can probably get him for a song at this point. So
yeah, probably a pick or so if they can. It was interesting because he was supposed to be part of the big return for JJ Peterka, and then it ended up being that Josh Doan was the big return. Everybody was Kesselring.
They both were.
They both
right?
were.
Yeah,
but Buffalo was so wanting that right D in the middle pair that they were like, Kesselring's going to slide in and be fine. Then he got injured, and then it was a whole thing. That he just didn't really slot in well. So, and their top four is now set and good. So, he might be on the way out or just wants to change of scenery. So you probably could get it for a 4th or 5th round pick or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think in principle it's a great idea. I just wonder why it didn't work in Buffalo, and does San Jose actually like Kesselring? But in principle, it makes sense though. A guy that was pretty good the year before, had a down season, still young, and his team is kind of loaded in front of him. So he does seem like a perfect target. So, John Swenson ask, this is an interesting one. Yeah, would the Sharks ever ask Toffoli to waive his no trade this off season, or is that completely off the table? And actually, year 4, Toffoli's contract becomes a partial no trade. It's not a complete no move or no trade. So, but anyway, John, basically, I think he's just asking Toffoli obviously has had a down season. There's no question about that. So, is it time to think about moving on from him?
I mean, where's Misa gonna live?
Yeah, right. I don't know. I love it that a down season is
in your office, Zubair. You can live where you're recording right now.
I love that a down season as well for a 33-year-old with a $6 million cap is a 50+ point season and still probably 20+ goals.
Yeah,
he's still he's basically been this player forever. 50 to 60 points, or one year he had 73 points, probably his highest that he's ever going to have. So. I mean, he is looks a little slower on the ice, I think, then that's probably what people are reacting to, is maybe like his speed has kind of come down and he's missed some more shots than he typically would bury. I think he's definitely not got the scoring touch this year. But yeah, he's been a good veteran to have. He's not a problem on this team. They're not like scratching him for lack of effort or whatever. I think he's doing just what he's supposed to be doing, my opinion.
I wouldn't be in a rush to get rid of him. I'll say that, right? Like, obviously, this year is a concern. We have to, we have to be honest about that too, right?
His
And
speed,
I've looked at some of the micro stats. I need to look at them harder, but there does seem to be a little bit where he's not getting as many scoring chances at the per 60 rate, I mean, as he was last year. So there is some suggestion that there could be some slowing down where he's not getting to his spots.
Yeah.
But he also was dealing with an injury this year too, lower body injury. So that's plays a part. And he was never, obviously, Tyler's never been a burner. So like, he's always going to look kind of, I mean, last year when he was popping 30 goals, he's always looked slow, right?
Yeah.
He's always been so smart and his pace is in his brain.
Yes.
That's why over the years he's been able to fit, like with Smith and Celebrini last year, because he's so fast in how he plays. So I would say overall, give him one more year. Like, if obviously this kind of continues next year, then it's a bit of a concern. And then you got to think about then to buy out the last year or whatnot. But like, when you have the track record that Tyler Toffoli has, that like, bad years happen too, right? And granted, he's 33, so it's a little bit, okay, you wish this happened in his 20s. When this happens to a player in his 30s, there's a little more of a concern. But players have down years though, even in their 30s, and they bounce back. So I wouldn't give up on him, and I don't think there's any reason to kind of force a buy. He hasn't been that bad, right? Like you mentioned, Keegan, that like he's still usable out there. He's kind of in the right place right now where they kind of have on a third line. I know that the last dozen games or so, he and Misa have struggled a little bit, but it's been up and down. He's had good stretches too this year too. Yeah. So I think he's about in the right place, and the Sharks aren't so deep. Like, I don't see like the guys they have like that they've played over him, like Regenda or Kurashev or even Gaudette. Like, I'd still rather have Toffoli,
me too,
kind of where he is, than those guys. Even those guys are pretty good players. They're not bad players at all. But like, yeah. So I'm not in a rush to. Like I said, I think ask me next year if this kind of continues, because he does need to be kind of popping in 25, 30, whatever, right? But like, but guys have down years, so
yeah, and that's it. Also, back to Kevin's question, the one above. I think we are going to have like a longer off-season trade target, all that kind of stuff.
We talk about this every week.
Yeah, we talk about who we're going to acquire. We're going to do like a full episode of that at some point again, because I think everybody wants to hear our thoughts on that. So,
can I say Zubair is a passing resemblance to Alex Tuch?
Does he? I don't know what Alex Tuch looks like. I mean, I kind of know, but yeah, maybe a little.
Am I crazy?
Yeah, the beard. Yeah.
Oh, I kind of
especially with the hat on. Yeah. I like.
If I had my flow, he's got a little bit of a flow going.
Yeah,
I got short hair now, but who knows? Yeah,
you gotta get the hair back.
If I could have his hands, you ever see that Selly off his shootout goal in training camp? You guys ever seen that video?
Oh, no.
I think you're missing more than just the hands. No offense, Zubair.
Wow.
Look up how tall Alex Tuch is, right?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, okay? Yeah. That's all I'm saying. So, you're missing his hands to be the Alex Tuch of beer league. Let's put it that way.
I would take his hands over his height. I'll just say that.
Okay, that's fair. He's got really good hands. Yeah,
he's got really nasty hands.
You're now called the Alex Tuch of beer league. That should be your tagline from now on.
I'm more of a Ferraro of beer league, but
okay. Glassing out kind of guy.
No, actually, I think there's a guy who plays who played for Montreal a couple of games, drafted by Montreal. He recently called me the ADA Subban. I think I probably played most like Subban, and my stride's a little awkward. I thought that was hilarious. I was like, that's a compliment coming from him. He played in the show,
PK or Jordan.
PK.
Yeah, right. Like if you put Jordan, but if you put him out of the goalie position, you put him in a different.
No. The goalie is Malcolm. The goalie's Malcolm.
Oh, sorry, shit. Yeah, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All right, guys. Well, I think we ripped through it. Great questions, guys. So if we didn't get to all your questions, sorry about that. And we'll get Dan Boyle on next year. We'll do more of a post-mortem of the season. We're going to talk all about defensemen this whole summer. So if we didn't address your defensive question enough, trust me, we're thinking about it really hard. And you know that Mike Grier is thinking about it 3 times harder than any of us.
And we're all sending in Mike Grier notes every day. We're just sending him a bunch of letters.
He's going to listen to this whole episode, all right? So,
yeah, he is. Yep. He's going to think of ideas from us. Yeah.
He'll have, when he acquires Michael Kesselring, he'll thank Jason Demers in the press release. So
he'll give him a key to the arena.
But all right, guys. Until next week, we'll talk with you soon.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.